Haha, I'm unmuting so that they all heard your alarm there, Michelle. That's
my nap time usually.
That is the same. That's the same. Is that a wake up alarm?
Are you going to be cranky later on now?
Because you've not had your nap.
I had a morning one now. Don't worry.
Hey, don't worry about me. I have I'll have a nap. If I'm here alone, or actually,
your pedals yet?
Huh?
Have you figured out your pedals yet?
No, I haven't fixed my iRacing pedals yet. No, I've not had time. I've not had time. I have to come in. I've had words said to me about my sim racing time, Matt. So,
really?
Yeah, but there's been...
How much time do you spend sim racing?
Well, in the lead up to the last round of Missed Apex iRacing, it was quite a few nights with the practice and everything. And discussions were had at the time. I got told off. Because, see, Michelle, you're all right. You're a wife. You get to do the telling off, so you're okay.
Yeah, this is a very similar argument to the one that I just told you about that I was screaming at Matt on the phone before this. Identical.
Yeah, but what we weren't talking about naps, were we? Oh, yeah, no, I love a nap. If I've got a chance, like I'm in the house sometimes, the kids are at school and she's got the studio. Well, what can I do? So then I'm happy. I'm more than happy in that situation to just get my head down. I have been running. Do you know? I have been. I don't like to brag about it, but yeah, I have been. I've been running regularly.
You know, I have not been running as much. I have given up my everyday run streak, mostly because we were doing that work on the apartment. It just wasn't compatible with 7 or 8 hours of heavy physical labor, and then come home and go for a run.
Yeah.
But oddly, I've actually lost a little bit more weight.
No, it's because you're old. That's death.
Death? Is that what that is?
That's what you're losing weight from death. I won't be overly happy about it. Right. Stuart Neal says he's trying to have a nap, and I take it by that it means that everyone can hear us. Hi, Mark. You know Hubert? I reckon that's how you say that. You know? Is that Jono? I'm going to guess that's Dutch and say it's Jono. We'll see.
I just call him Jono.
Oh,
like
yeah,
Steve-O.
Jono. So I don't want it to be Jono Hobbit. I want it to be like dead posh. Hubert.
Exotic.
Yeah, I want it to be exotic. Taylor's here as well. Stephen Osborne's here too. I think we can get started, Matt. That'll be fun.
I think we have every reason to get started.
All right. So can you press record for me? No, I have to do that everything myself.
Yes, you do, because the record button is on your side of the Atlantic.
Right. Oh, just so you know, Michelle, I'm just going to start off telling Matt about my clunk clunk, and once I finish the clunk clunk, I will introduce you. All right.
Okay, so I'm not on the telly yet.
You're not on the telly yet, no. If only it was. If only it was. Oh, that's me. I'm on the fake telly. I'm on the YouTube fake telly now.
I was right about Jono's name.
Was it? What was it?
Jono.
Boring. You know. No, not that. Sorry, John. Stop insulting people who spend their time watching our content and supporting us. Right, here we go. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Remain Indoors podcast, where I'm going to be honest, it's a grumble-heavy show, and we're going to talk about the ways we keep ourselves entertained at home. Remain indoors. Well, it's about time we start being more honest, Matt. I looked at the list of topics today with our guest, and it is wall-to-wall grumbling, and I'm happy with that.
Well, I think, isn't that like one of our main things that we like to do for other people? We grumble on their behalf so they do not have to. Yeah, so they can feel superior for not actually grumbling, but still feel like they've grumbled and gotten it off of their virtual chest, I suppose.
There's too many people out there telling people to have a PMA, a positive mental attitude. You tune in to listen to Remain Indoors and go, oh, good, they're miserable as well.
Yeah, mine was spinning for a second to put words to those letters, but thank you for supplying them.
Positive mental attitude, PMA. I can't take credit. It was from an advert. Before we bring our guest on, Matt, I did have a bit of PMA because I solved my clunk clunk.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. But we had clunk clunk, and it's been 5 years.
Did you solve it with hammer? That's one of my favorite ways to solve things.
There was hammer, there was troweling, there was glue, there was grouting. It's the entrance to the bathroom. For 5 years, the tile has been loose. 2 tiles have been loose. Right. So you go in there and it goes clunk clunk. And you just kind of got used to it. It was like the soundtrack of our house. Someone goes to the toilet, you hear clunk clunk. You hear flush, door handle, clunk clunk. And that was just like one. And then at some point, it started really winding me up. I'm just going, clunk, 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 clunk. Stop clunk clunking. So I fixed it.
And you solved the problem yourself. I'm very impressed.
Well, because it's too small a job to get a guy in. So I've never done tiling before. So I had to learn how to do tiling and grouting and all that fun stuff. And I got into it and it's fine. Don't mind a bit of manual labor. But then I set it and then I didn't quite do it right. But within like 2 days, a kid stood on it wrong and exposed the weakness of it. And it went up again. So it clunked again. So clunk made a comeback, like a baddie in a movie. So I had to get in there. This time, I learned more things. I did it properly. It's all sealed in, and there is no clunk. Now, part of me misses it. The other part of me has realised there is so much clunk in my life. Little things that I have just learned to deal with and cope with, and I am now on a mission to de-clunk my mind, my body, my wardrobe, my career. It's a full-on de-clunking.
Well, that's a very impressive undertaking. Let me know how it turns out.
Stuart Neal in the chat room. Hello, live chat, by the way. Remain indoors is like writing a letter of disgruntlement to the Daily Telegraph. Is that what we are? We're like the complaints section of a newspaper. Well, we need help in that regard. The moaniest mouth in all of Cambridgeshire. Oh, sorry. Michelle Davey, a.k.a. the Cockney in the countryside. Hello, Michelle.
Hello. I actually don't moan to anybody else apart from, when I speak to you or, like radio stuff, really.
So do you, maintain a positive mental attitude to those around you? But then in my company, you're like, everything's terrible.
Yeah, my dad's really positive. Like my dad's one of the most positive people ever. So I am quite a positive person. Yeah. But then I get on air and I'm like, oh, what can I talk about? Yeah, I could moan.
Yeah, good old moan. I love that on the air because, you and I were both local radio presenters and a lot of those guys are they're so pro and they're so positive and they've always got messages of inspiration. And then I get some airtime. I'm like, my favourite whinge ever was people who hold the door open when they're too far away. And it really, really winds me up because they've made
a little run.
Yeah, you've got to do a little jog and but I started doggedly just refusing to do that run and just being like, no, you're good, carry on. And then just stare at them and then crucially not say thank you when I eventually get there because they've done me a disservice. But yeah, we don't mind being it's a bit of positive negativity is what I think. Michelle, what do you think?
Yeah, and I always feel a bit weird when I do go on the radio and I'm like, I hope you're having a lovely morning and it's so lovely and bright and sunny here. And then I put a song and I think, that sounded a bit weird.
Yeah, it's raining for one thing. It's miserable and I don't care how you feel.
Yeah, never mention the weather on a pre-record. That's what I've learned.
Yeah. Oh, well, I had recently, Matt, you're like this. We had a live weather person instead of they sending in a report. And they were sort of shuffling around. I think they might have been shuffling around for notes or whatever. But the lady just went, well, it's really murky, isn't it? I mean, look outside. And I went, oh, this is a good weather report. She went into a lot of detail later on. But when she just went, well, it's murky, isn't it? I was like, yeah, that sums it up. That would be a good weather report.
Well, I've had a look out the window, and yeah, there's definitely weather out there.
And there is weather out here as well. I don't know what it's like in America, New York winters. If movies have taught me anything, it is thick snow in Central Park. The children are playing gaily through the meadows, and people are falling. There's love everywhere in a romantic central.
Ice skating.
Yeah, the ice skating, that kind of thing. That's what New York's like right now.
Yeah, what New York is like right now is the Netflix rom-com watch-a-thon for all of December for my wife and daughter. That's what it's like.
Oh, so you're hunkering down.
Yeah, well, they have taken control of the television, and it's 24/7 nonstop rom-com action for the family.
I don't mind the odd rom-com. I don't mind the odd one. I don't think I'd want to watch tons and tons of them. But do they never relinquish the television for an action movie then? No.
Well, I mean, outside of December, yeah, we will watch the fun shows that we sort of all pick together. Like we just finished watching The Mandalorian, for example. But now we're into Christmas season. All they really want to watch is Christmas rom-coms, which is its own special. And she put on one the other day. I think it was called Virgin River. And she and my daughter both agreed that A, it was terrible, and B, they could not stop watching it. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to the office. And,
Do they hate watch things? Because I don't mind a good hate watch.
Yeah, no, they're not quite hate watching. It's weird. It's very predictable. The acting isn't great, and yet somehow they cannot stop. Absolutely cannot stop watching it.
The kids put on Jingle Jangle on Netflix. Jingle Jangle. It's all like musical and everything. And I didn't realize it was musical. So there's all acting for the first 5 minutes. And then, they have a problem. And suddenly they goes, I have a problem. I've never had this problem before. I will sing my feelings. And I'm like, oh my God, oh no, it's a musical and I'm trapped here for the next hour and a half. So I started just like ripping into it. And whenever there was some kind of issue, I was like, you know what she should do? She should sing her feelings. And then the character would sing the feelings. And then my wife's like, stop it. Because the kids started joining in then, didn't they? What's Christmas viewing like in your house, Michelle? Who's in charge of the telly?
Oh, my husband is always in charge of the telly, yeah.
How has he negotiated that?
I don't know, but he is, yeah. He always watches what I did say, oh, look, the Holiday's on there. And Love actually said, he just goes, that we've watched 75 times. That you've watched 50 times. We've seen those films.
It's not a racist Irish accent because you're married to him, so that's fine. Yeah.
It's an accurate one.
So are you a watcher-againer? Like my wife is a watcher-againer. She's like, oh, I liked that movie, therefore I will enjoy the experience again.
Yeah, and to be honest though, it's rare that I will make it through a whole film. I do fall asleep at the end of most films. So I was like, oh, Die Hard, we watched that. You made me watch that last year because I'd never seen it. I'm not very good with films. And he's like, you fell asleep at the end. I was like, oh, we can try it again. But I'll still fall asleep at the same place.
Well, in the olden days, I'm assured by my parents that you would buy your ticket to a movie, but you didn't have to go in at the start because the movie would just be like on a loop. So they would say, like, oh, well, you just buy a ticket and then you go into the cinema, it's halfway through, and you go, oh, you watch the end. And then you just stay in there until it gets to the part where you came in. And there's a phrase around it, this is where I came in. And I'm like, how can you watch movies like that? You're insane.
Did you used to do that though when you was kids, when you was teenagers and you was allowed to go to the cinema? Probably just us. But we used to do this thing and we used to go in, get the ticket and see one film, and then we used to like sneak into another film.
No.
And then we pulled out by security.
No, Michelle. No one but you ever did that. Well, actually, what we would do is they'd have a different exit to entry.
Yeah.
So as people were exited out, the fire door wouldn't always shut. And then you'd take your chances trying to go in through the fire door and hope that you could kind of linger around there. But I think they've shut down most of those loopholes now. And the other thing with the cinema was getting your bag searched because you want to take in your own popcorn and your own drink.
Oh, yeah. Do they do that anymore?
I don't think they do it anymore, Matt, but they definitely did it when we were kids.
Yeah, that's my daughter and I have been watching Always Sunny in Philadelphia after the wife goes to bed. And they just had the one where they go to the Jersey Shore and drink out of the suntan lotion bottles because alcohol is forbidden on the beach. They're like, are you drinking suntan lotion? They're like, no, tequila, because they're very strict about alcohol laws on the beach.
Oh, I fancy some tequila. It's getting to the season of you can get in fancy spirits, and you can't be judged because it's Christmas, isn't it? And that's when you can get your fancy things in, like port. Very nearly port time. And time to get some nice ports on the go. Michelle grimacing.
Bad experience on that, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
One of those where if you smell it, I'll be heaving.
Oh, really? Is it? Oh, it's one of those. What sets me off? So there's anything that smells like what are those shots that were all in fashion at the beginning of 2000s? No, I can still handle a Sambuca. They were really thick and sickly sweet ones.
Oh, like Aftershock.
Aftershock.
The blue and the red one.
There you go. Aftershock. If I get a whiff of Aftershock, that brings back bad memories.
That's not good. Me too. I've got like more of a list of drinks that give me bad memories than drinks that I can actually handle. I'm just not very good on alcohol. I always vomit.
Well, you've got no time these days to be drinking fancy drinks because you've got to be going around, making sure the Elf on the Shelf is okay.
No, there's no Elf on the Shelf at my house. No way. I was not entertaining that. Do you do that in America, Matt? The Elf on the Shelf?
I'd imagine they're responsible for it.
We thought it was creepy as you know what. And no, we did not do that at all to our poor child. So we've probably done lots of other terrible things to her without realizing.
But is it a thing?
We did not inflict that on her.
Is it a thing in America, Elf on the Shelf?
It was for a while. It was like a big. It was like a big. I don't know, viral craze, I guess you'd say. And I suppose some people still do it, but we did not partake of that particular one.
So for those not familiar, this is the phenomenon by which a real life elf toy moves around your house by magic, because everything around Christmas is magic. Father Christmas is magic. He delivers magically created toys, the value of which roughly matches the socio-economic status of your family, luckily. So there's no awkwardness. And then this elf would move around and you'd have to, I guess, find it or whatever. And was it an incentive to be good? Do you have to be good? Or the elf does stuff wrong?
I don't understand it, yeah. I don't really understand it. We've never done it.
Oh, right.
I think that was the goal, is that the elf was watching you to see if you were good or not, and it would move positions just so that you thought it was being good, which hilariously brings up an entirely unrelated Christmas story that I will now derail the entire show with.
Go for
it. Which is my wife remembers, there's magic years where if you were a Christmas celebrating person and you have a small child, that Santa is real and present as anything else in their life,
as he is now.
And then there is an awkward transition zone as they get older and understand how the world works a little bit better and understands Santa in a different way, a more adult way.
Thank you.
Without saying that Santa doesn't exist, because I'm not saying that.
Of course not. You'll get no presents if you say that.
Exactly. But my wife remembered, as a child, recognizing the notes from Santa's handwriting as her mom's. So growing up, she actually wrote left-handed in a different style, so as our daughter would not catch on, which led to a very protracted zone of, are we dealing with adult Santa or child Santa? There was like about a 2-year stretch where she didn't want to disappoint us, and we couldn't figure out from what she said, like where she was on that particular scale. That was just kind of low-key hilarious looking back on. Like my wife did too good a job.
I definitely still force my kids to have the child version of Santa, much to their protestations, but I will not yield on that matter. Because when they are little, it's such a good tool to get them to behave. Like the whole of December is just emotional blackmail, and the elf on the shelf is an extension of that, Michelle. We haven't done it. We've had Hulk in a sulk as a joke, but I get creeped out by Matt's description of the magic elf is watching you. It's in the house.
I think as well, it's gone a bit further here. I don't know what it is. Obviously, like on social media, I connect with a lot of mums with similar age children to our own, because I sort of got a parenting blog. So, it's quite a mum audience I have. And I just feel it's a bit of a competition. And it's not that the elf is moving. The elf is doing something really naughty. So it'll get all of the toilet roll and unravel it everywhere. Like, I've got enough mess than to clear up all this cereal that the elf's knocked everywhere. Do you know what I mean? I don't need that. So, they kind of... this elf is doing all these...
He's messing with
crazy stuff. Yeah. And I just said to my kids that, Santa's not sent us an elf because Bert, the dog, who eats everything, will just chew him to bits. So it's safer that we don't have one.
Whoa! Sorry, we can't have an elf on a shelf. It would get murdered in this house. I couldn't get my kids' attention. I was trying to get their attention. They were on screens. So I genuinely just tested it by saying, "Oh, by the way, kids, I've just heard that Santa's got COVID and it's not looking good." And one of them turned up and went, and went back to their screens. And I went, right, they're not listening. That was a good test. But anyway, Santa's fine. Everyone, don't panic. Michelle.
The boss baby, it's going to sound like he's a spoiled brat, but he's not. And my kids are not spoiled by no means. I just don't know where this child came from. But he did come from me. But, I just don't know. He's like one of those kids everyone goes, oh, he's been here before. Yeah, great. So he's 3 years old.
An old soul.
We still call him the boss baby. But he said, my husband said to him, if you carry on like that, Santa will bring you nothing. He said, that's all right. Nanny will get me something anyway. Like, what? Where was that come from?
Where could that sass have come from?
I honestly, he is, compared to all my children, so different. But my older two, I mean, my middle son has autism, so he's quite literal with everything. My daughter is just like this floaty, waltzes around like hippie child. And then there's 3-year-old demon. Like, it's very strange.
Do you think it's a youngest kid thing? Because I mean, Matt, you've only got the one at home, but like little Ivy is my little one is legit evil, and the evilness has not dissipated. Age 8, like she is. Yeah, we're worried. We're gonna get some tests run.
Yeah, I feel concerned. I say this to my husband quite a lot. Like, what are we gonna do when he's a teenager? Like, I just say this quite a lot. Like, he's free. I shouldn't be worrying about it, but I really am worried.
Well, as my wife once said about one of her relatives, either they're going to be very, very rich or wind up in prison.
Which saves money on university. So, I mean, there's wins to be had. And honestly, Michelle, you've had too many. Like 3 is too many. Like when you got to 2, this is a bit personal, but come on. What at that point, get a Netflix account, send him off playing golf. You know, I'm like,
factory's closed. Yep.
Oh, yeah, whenever I see people like 3 and 4 kids, I'm like, just put her down. Leave her alone. For goodness sake, get a hobby.
Well, we always debate whether if we'd had 4, then this would have been easier. Because the older 2 are like, they're only 13 months apart. So they're really close and like they get on really well. And so they've got each other. Whereas the third child is just like, he's kind of like an only child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's sort of separated out on his own. But see, Matt's the opposite.
Maybe 4 would have been easier.
So, Matt, did you guys ever have any doubt? Like, one kid, and like now, I see the relationship the 3 of you have, and you're this real, like, tight, close-knit unit. It's lovely. And I feel like maybe you guys are bonded in a way that we will never be with our kids because we're just, like, yelling at a wall of infants.
Yeah, the original plan was for 2. Then when we had the first one, just the reality of life was pretty much like, ha, ha, ha. Even if, having survived that, we're not really in a place to want to go do it again. And B, if we looked at the money or anything else, it was just beyond impractical where we were living and just the lives that we had. And I think our daughter went through a period of wanting to have a sibling. Because she convinced several of the teachers at school that my wife was pregnant again.
What? Why?
Because she talked about it so convincingly.
Oh, God, but what? No, why? Why did she talk about it so convincingly?
Because I think all of her friends were having,
That's funny.
They were having their second kid at around that time. But having gotten a little bit older and watched with, again, a more adult attitude towards sibling relations, she's like, oh, I'm delighted. I'm not only the only child in this family, I'm also the only grandchild in this family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like all the resources come to her.
Yep.
And there's no struggle for attention, which, by the way, talking about kids on screens, I've always heard the best way to get their attention is simply to shut the internet off temporarily.
Yeah. But then I'd have the wife yelling at me as well. So she'd be like, oh,
it'd be noisy.
I can't look at my Pinterest. Oh, what are you doing? Exactly. The thing is, when everyone's occupied on screens, Matt, they're quiet. All right? You can say what you want about the evils of screen time. God, it does shut the 3 of them up. The other 3, all of them. Good. Well, you've completely derailed everything, Michelle. 20 minutes in, and I've got as far as Elf on the Shelf, which we all agree is evil. But we can't deny that Christmas is looming. And everyone said this year, oh, it's Christmas. You can start Christmas early. And I'm like, on the face of it, I'm like, I'm not going to judge anyone. Yeah, you do what you want, guys. That's a super idea. A great pick-me-up after a tough year. On the reality of it, I was like doing everything I can to delay. And I've managed to delay them. We're to the 3rd of December. No Christmas tree up. And our schedule means no Christmas tree till Saturday, which is the 6th, 5th. That's reasonable. So we're having our tree up on the 5th. How are you getting on?
Mine was yesterday. We went and got, we thought this would be a really nice idea. Well, for me and my husband, because he had a day off work. So we thought we would go, not with the kids, because we always get a real tree, and get a tree.
Like a date?
And then we'd surprise, a date day, yeah. So, and then surprise them with it when they come home.
Oh, no.
But I played this really cruel joke, and I'd got like one of those little, I told them that I was going to see Santa to get the tree to see how good they've been, and the size of the tree depended on how good they've been. So I've got one of these little, like from a supermarket, like the ones that go in the pot.
Oh, Michelle.
I put it at the doorstep. And that's when I got them from school. I was like, now don't be disappointed. I did say if you were good, it depends on the size of the tree. So then they was like, there it is, look at it. And it's like this little tiny tree. And 2 of them started crying, 2 out of 3.
Oh, that's too much. That's too precious. You made your children cry on purpose.
Yeah, then my husband was like, Michelle, just let them in the house now and let them see the actual tree.
Oh,
I was filming them as well, like really evil person.
No, you'll
Yes.
send me that video, won't you?
There we go.
You'll send me that video. I won't post it, but you'll send it to me. I mean, I like playing pranks on the kids as well, but when they actually like burst into tears from you being cruel, that's so funny. How old are the 2 oldest?
8 and 9.
8 and 9. That's so funny.
But it was the 3-year-old. I said to him, do you like it? He's like, yes. He's like, you got to put some baubles on it. Yes. He just wouldn't
Fine.
look at me because like his eyes were brimming. So I was like, oh, okay, look, here it is.
Now I need to top that. I might tell the kids that we gave the cats away.
plan.
Yeah. And tell them we got fed up with the cats and we gave them away. Oh dear, that is cruel. But you have got your real goal, Matt.
Well, no, if you're going to do that, you should say that cat A or cat B threw up and their mom was done, and so we had to take them away. Make sure you blame your wife for
Yeah,
it.
no,
Don't
that-
take personal responsibility.
They won't believe that because I've spent the last 2 years going, they're not my cats. I'm not feeding them. Fine then, I will. But I don't know. You get fond of them, don't you? And my little Luna, the little black cat, since I've started working at home, doesn't leave me alone. Little shadow. Got a little shadow as I'm walking around. I go to the bathroom. If I come out, she's there waiting for me afterwards. He just follows me around the house and comes to the shed, sits in the shed with me.
Yeah, no, and this always kills me when everyone's like, "Oh, cats are total loners." I'm like, they don't know our cats, because literally, if you go to another room and they don't know where you are, they will just cry like babies till they find you.
I heard, somewhere I saw it it was on a YouTube video, that cats only
It's a fact, then.
It's a fact. It's a scientific fact, right? That's what it was like in the 80s before the internet. No, don't you talk no rubbish. I know that acupuncture is real, scientific fact that needles prevent cancer. And then the internet came along, and now ignorance is a choice. But anyway, yeah, it's a fact that the cats when they meow, that is language they use for kittens.
People.
Yeah,
Kittens?
and only for people. So they talk to people like they are kittens, and they are often alarmed because you are just another cat that isn't doing cat-like things, and therefore it is trying to teach you to do cat-like things. And there you go. And when it exposes its belly, you're meant to attack the belly, and it attacks you like it's play fighting with a kitten. There we go.
Ah, I see. Has your cat tried to train you on hunting yet?
No, how? Oh, by bringing me half-dead things. And that was the other
Yes.
thing the video said, the half-dead things. And so he's trying to teach me, and my reaction is, get out of the house. Take it away. Yeah, we get that a lot. Sorry, Christmas trees, beg your pardon. Why have you got a real tree? It's too much. It's too involved.
Because they're better. They look better and they smell amazing. And yes, they're better. Oh, Matt, are you real tree thing?
You Team real tree.
All day long. I am
Yeah.
real tree. The smell, just that
Yes.
beautiful pine smell permeating your dwelling. It's just magic.
No,
When I
that-
come downstairs this morning after like the first day,
Mm.
obviously we had it yesterday. Oh my God. It's just so nice just to have that smell.
I think that's not the reason. You're both pointing to the smell. You are both liars. You have turned this into a shed of lies. Matt, and I'm going to be sexist here and say, Mr. Davey, like the feeling of going out and getting a tree and feeling like big lumberjack manly men. Look at me, with my real tree. And you like walking around like that, and that's why you do it. It's all machismo.
Well, if I'm going to be entirely fair about this, the wife and the daughter do set up an entire village underneath our Christmas tree after they've decorated it for hours.
Really? God,
And
who can be
and
bothered?
every house and every figure in there actually has a backstory that has been written down for posterity's sake. And there are dramas in the village. So like you can say it's me wanting to be a lumberjack, but I'm just going to go for a more 50-50 explanation there.
That is so involved. Like,
It is.
you don't have any hobbies or anything you could do. Is that,
It's them, not me, man. I'm busy iRacing.
so the rest of my family as well, it's a real big deal for them, Michelle. So when you were saying you set it up to surprise them, that would not go down well. The kids really want to be involved. They want to put the tree, our fake tree, same tree we've had their whole life. they like assembling it together. And putting all the decorations. And each year they are allowed to select one new Christmas decoration that they can buy and then add to the tree. And so it grows and I just stay out of it. I just stay out of it. Just the whole decorating of the house. It's a bit much for me. If I would definitely not bother if no one else did.
Yeah, see, when I was younger, I always remember my mum and dad getting quite tipsy when we did Christmas tree decorating. And like I said to my husband yesterday, like I can 100% understand why mum and dad used to just like completely get on the sauce when they was doing the Christmas tree decorating, because this is stress. As they've got older, it's got more and more stressful. So yesterday I told him, because we haven't just lovely timing just before Christmas, our brakes went on our car when we went to do this last week. So we had to take my husband's van, which has only got 2 seats. So they knew they couldn't come with us to get the tree this year because we haven't got a car.
Yeah.
So we they was cool with that. But then just everything else is like, it was like somebody had just like shoved like 6 tubes of Smarties down their throats. They were bouncing off the walls, and it was mental, absolutely mental. Like
with
by
excitement.
6 o'clock yesterday, I was like,
Is that just with excitement for having the tree and having the decorations? Crazy.
yeah. See, my son, I know we spoke before that he's autistic, so excitement for him is really like, it is like a million times more overwhelming.
Unrestrained, isn't it?
Oh,
He just goes for it.
It's just he was stimming a lot, so he like does real loud whooping noises, and that sort of like brings the other kids up, and then everyone's whooping, and we've got like the Alexa on, thinking, oh, let's put some lovely Christmas music on, make it all like atmospheric, and gets them like, Alexa off, just screaming at Alexa.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't want to
It was
mock
happy
your
times.
child with special educational needs, but that sounds darling, and I'm finding that hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. Yeah.
You mentioned to me that you had poorly judged the size of the tree.
Oh yes, yeah. So this we do this quite often anyway, but we've got quite a small house, and so we went, and what originally had happened was everyone in our area had said, you should go to this new place to get your trees. They're really good. So I said to my husband, we should go to the new place to get the trees. It's really good. And he was like, no, let's just go to the place we always go to. And I'm like, no. And then it become like a fretful situation. So he's like, right, fine, sure, we'll go to that. And then we got out, and admittedly they were all rubbish.
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, well, we didn't even look properly. Then we turn up, he goes, let's just go to the place we always went. So then he was opening the trees and I'll make him stand and hold them aside so I can see them properly.
Judge the height.
And I was like, no, even though there was a few good ones, I just went, no, let's make this a bit harder for him, because I wanted to look at the other place. I was like, no, don't like that one. And so he was pulling another one out. And then in the end, I was like, oh no, that one is quite nice actually. It's a bit skinny though, don't you think it's a bit skinny and small? And he's like, oh, yeah, it's a bit, yeah, but we'll try it. Anyway, it wouldn't even go, do you know when they re-net them through the little tube thing?
Yeah.
They have to put, wouldn't fit. So then I was
too
like,
small or too big?
Yeah, no, too big for the
right.
netting machine. So I was like,
What size have you
we've
got?
already paid the money now.
What size of beast have you got?
8 foot.
Ooh.
So then we brought it home, and yeah, we've had to rearrange furniture and was like, okay, it's not as skinny in the house.
I'm just you're sitting there with your Christmas tree all set up, and you're like, well, we're just going to have to move. I think we'll just have to. But you see, our tree, it's the same size every year. We know where it's going to go.
No, but where's the fun? Like now our furniture, our armchair, and our settee are like so close, and now the kids can run and jump from one settee to the other and do flying maneuvers and everything. How much fun is that?
Your house is a Ninja Warrior, but yeah,
yes,
Ninja Warrior. Matt,
yeah, and we have to open the door and like kind of hide behind the door, and then like with my new lockdown figure, I have to like kind of squidge my way around it because there's not quite enough room.
Oh, for a minute there, I think I've not seen you in real life for many months. I thought you were about to say like my new trim lockdown figure, but you've gone the other way. You've gone for squidge.
There's a less space.
There's less space, physically less space for you to operate. Matt, are you trusted with the decorating?
No.
Good.
Except for like putting the thing on the top of the tree, because I'm tall enough to do that. And there's a few, and I am tasked with holding the lights while the others untangle them. And there are about 3 or 4 ornaments I'm allowed to personally put on the tree. Otherwise, I'm forbidden to touch things. And I'm required to go in the other room with an alcoholic beverage so as not to stress the whole procedure out.
That sounds like a good deal. It's a wife tactic, isn't it? It's the nuclear option. You don't want to overuse that, I'm imagining, Michelle. But us men are pretty susceptible to, here's an alcoholic drink, go sit in the other room. That settles most arguments. I'm fine.
Yeah, my husband, I don't know about the lights though. He's really funny about the lights. Like he gets really, and he does this thing, and this is complete. I know he's making this up just to make me look stupid, but he says to me, ever since we've been together, he's like, Michelle, if you want to check if the lights are on properly, you have to stand back and squint. So we're both standing there like this, and I'm like, what are we doing? And he's like, just seeing, because then you can see properly where the gaps are. My husband's a very educated man. I'm like, I don't think this is a real thing this year. I'm like, you have me on every year doing this. So I'm standing like that, looking at my lights.
Seeing where the gaps are.
Yeah.
I don't follow that at all. I think
not-
that sounds like a lie to me. And what I don't understand is why they spend so much time and effort decorating the back of the tree. But they do it.
Yeah, we don't do that.
No, our tree,
You can
you
see
could
it through
rotate.
the window.
It's not. It's out into the garden.
Yours maybe. Ours is publicly viewable. So
Big show-offs. You big show-off with your real tree that you've gotten from the
Yeah.
forest and cut down. Have you cut it down yourself?
only after I've killed a bear
Yeah.
and a mountain lion to get there. Yes. No, we go up to the field where they sell them. Vermont Place imports them locally.
Okay.
So we go up and buy them there, and they're always delightful. Although I'm terrified this year about how we're going to get it home, because in the past we just chucked it up on top of the car and tied it on. But now we have the new car that we haven't paid for yet. And so it's suddenly a different proposition. I think blankets may have to be involved.
It's funny, isn't it? Once...
You opened them all up. Sorry.
No, go on. You go ahead, Michelle.
Matt, do you open them all up as well? Like, do you have to find the perfect tree? Like, ours are always netted, and then I actually took my own pair of scissors this year, and I opened them all, and then I have to see them to make sure they're perfect for the house.
Oh my God.
Anything that looks like it's about the right size and sort of like, oh, that looks like it's fresh, it's in good shape, we like the needles, it gets denetted and bounced once or twice so we get an idea if there are any like horrible misshapen gaps in the branches or anything like that. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Totally,
so
100%.
The poor guy's got to sit there re-netting all the ones that you didn't want.
No, he re-nets them when they go back on top of the car.
I don't know. This feels like trying underwear on in a shop. You're ruining the magic of that Christmas tree and then go, nah, I don't want it. No, I don't want it. And then the last thing really with Christmas prep that we've got to start thinking about now is what we're actually doing on the day. And it's a bit limited, isn't it? That we made the decision, not judging anyone else. We made the decision not to take our kids from school and then 4 days later into my mother's house with her husband who's got a heart condition. And we've decided not to actively, try and kill him. Because she would make me feel guilty for that. There'd be a guilt trip. It would be like, oh, hi, Mom, how are you? Well, lonely because you killed my husband with your virusy kids. So just to avoid the guilt trip, I'm not going to do that. So just the four of us, but she is insisting, wife, on still doing a Christmas spread as if we had loads of people round. No, and I don't know. I wouldn't bother, but okay, that's what we're doing.
And you're complaining because you don't want all that food around to eat for days? I mean, like, what's the downside here?
It just feels like a lot of faff. It just feels like a lot of faff. But she said...
You have to do the washing up.
Well, there's that. But she said her defense is she loves doing that whole Christmas morning. She's got to be the one that's up at like 5 a.m. to get the turkey in and do all the bits. And she said that's just making it feel Christmassy.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a nice idea.
Oh, you would take her side, wouldn't you? Yeah, you'll stick together.
I don't cook Christmas dinner. My mum would never let me cook Christmas dinner. There's one time when I first moved out, I was about 21, 22. And she said, I said, Mum, let's have Christmas dinner around my house. And yeah, it'd be really nice. And then she's like, okay. And then it got nearer. My mum she's very, people have said a lot that she's like Monica from Friends, like in looks and personality.
Oh, well.
So as Christmas Day neared, she was like, okay, so I'll bring the turkey and I'll bring the potatoes. And basically all I ended up doing was boiling the kettle to pour into a pan so that she could make gravy from and add everything else to it.
That's nice.
So
That's
she's
good.
like, oh, then told everyone Misha done a lovely Christmas dinner.
Oh, bless. Well, look, it is the 3rd of December. Christmas chat, unfortunately, somewhat inevitable. We didn't lose anyone on the stream. In fact, there's still people, Matt, who come and listen to this live. The numbers increased during that story. Obviously, we started this as a bit of a stopgap, didn't we? When everyone was locked down and going outdoors was less of a thing. But the audience is going up a little bit, and I'm trying to think of what we do next year and where everything fits into the freelance schedule. Well, I quite like Remain Indoors with its little slot once a week. What do you think?
I think you could talk me into carrying on in the post-vaccine world we are all about to bravely enter.
I think, if nothing else, I think we'll never get to the top of the iTunes charts with this show because it's not about anything. Unless we change the title to just, we could consider it a rebrand where we change it to a Grumble podcast. Quick Google. Yeah. We have to take that name before it goes. That's such a good name. Yeah, we'll call it. I'm sure there's got to be a Grumble podcast out there somewhere.
Yeah, that might have more marketing appeal, but then we'd have to understand and be able to use marketing, and I don't think either one of us can do that.
Grumble Waffle Podcast, GWP. Tune in for GWP. Ask your doctor if GWP is right for you. We'll think on it. Chat room, you can help us out with that. But it does give us an excuse just to air the random problems and events of our life. Before I ask you about your elevator, Matt, I'm assuming that the chat room has sparked you.
Yeah. Roy Tate has quipped that perhaps we should just call it Indoors Remain now.
Like the Twitter handle that I incorrectly did. Yes, the Twitter handle is @IndoorsRemain. I thought I'd nailed it. I was like, @Remain Indoors, and it let it all go through. And I thought, oh, brilliant. What were the chances that handle was free? And what it had done, it had auto-suggested Indoors Remain instead. And I guess I had just podged yes. And that's our Twitter handle now. All right, the PMA podcast, the Positive Mental Attitude podcast. No, Jono, that would be a lie. Tell me about your elevator, Matt, your elevator woes.
Well, we have been engaged in cleaning out this apartment for a friend of ours. And we have actually temporarily come to the end of the project. There's a bit of waffle and then maybe a few more things to do, but we're done. We're finished. Not going back there anytime soon. And
this was like a hoardery type apartment of a guy who I'm assuming passed away.
Yeah, a guy and his wife who had been in the building since it was built in the 60s and saved literally everything.
Hoarders.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, it was a thing. We found many treasures and much exciting stuff. But having gotten close to the end, there was about 4 boxes of books. And for those, like medium banker size boxes. So not the lightest of things. And we had found a place to take them because they were not the sort of things that one would donate. But we didn't want to just like chuck them out in the trash either. So we went to go get these last boxes from the 5th floor apartment in which they were ensconced. And this would have been a simple, easy task, except for when we walked in the door, the elevator was out of service.
I don't know. You're from that kind of environment, though, aren't you, Michelle? You're from like the tower blocks, aren't you? With the lifts.
Lifts being out is not good.
So what was the solution?
The solution was I went up and down the stairs 4 times, carrying a box of books, down each time, loaded them in the car, and drove them off to the place that we were donating them, which was its own hilarious story. But yeah, it was, my wife actually tried to help the first time down, but she's got a touch of vertigo and it was bad. So she was actually getting dizzy on the stairs. I'm like, no, just trust me.
How convenient.
You stay here and hold the door for me. It will be so much quicker because I can basically run up the stairs and just about run down them. Although I will say that my arms were completely toast by the time I was done. And I did that thing where you hold it behind your back.
Oh, you turtled it.
Yeah. Like I picked it up like that. And the first time I did that and went to walk out the door, I'm like, okay, now this is going to be complicated because I can't really operate the doorknob at all. So I had to rig up a strap to hold the door open that I could then subsequently, with my arms behind my back, undo. And then after the first trip, I realized I should also make sure that the doors were open that led to the stairwells, because this also proved to be a bit of a challenge with no hands.
This sounds like
So
a lot of
you
hard
learn as
work.
you go. You learn as you go.
The whole book on the back thing, that scene, that I would be straight down. I would have knocked my front teeth out. I'd fall down the stairs.
Nah, it was like bounce, 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 bounce. It's easy. It's less. It's actually you're using bigger muscles and more of your body's architecture to support the box than if you're holding it like this in front of you. Your arms
I'm going
last
to try
longer.
it. With the
Anyway, so
washing.
that was just a delightful point on the end of that entire operation to get to do that.
And how much of the old guy's stuff did you pocket and steal?
Oh, a very large amount of it, which I will point out that we negotiated with the person for whom we were doing this favor ahead of time.
Yeah.
We found all sorts of fascinating stuff. I think I told you we found $50,000 worth of bonds in the apartment. But perhaps the most
Wait.
amazing-
Can't skip over that. Well,
Yeah.
But that can't convert to like real money. Otherwise, I assume.
Oh, yeah, it can. Absolutely, 100%.
So you have $50,000.
It's savings bonds. Yeah. No, I mean, we did not keep those.
Oh, right. Well, I was going to say that's quite exciting. If you suddenly have £50,000, that would make a difference to my life.
No.
My goodness.
No, but they can. They're savings bonds. They can be converted. They were in the names of the two people, so we sent them off to the person who has power of attorney.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right, because we're like, reasonably honest people.
You could have just
but
had
we-
$50,000 though.
It wouldn't have been too hard, honestly. I think we could have pulled it off if we really wanted to. But, it just remained a hypothetical exercise.
See,
'Cause we
that's
weren't.
Elf on the Shelf would not have approved of stealing $50,000.
Exactly. But what we did find was that the husband had been in World War II. He was stationed in the Pacific. He was a radio engineer. And so like I have some cool stuff like this.
Okay, Matt is holding up some electronic equipment from the olden days.
I think it's a tube tester, and if you look closely, you can see that all the labels are in, I think, Chinese, because he was in China at some point.
A traitor,
So we found all sorts of
defector.
stuff like
Maybe
that.
he was a defector.
No, he's not a defector. But because he was a hoarder, he not only saved his mom, I guess this runs in the family, his mom saved all of his letters home. He saved all of his mom's letters, and he saved all of his mates' letters to him and to them that he got back. And so the person responsible for this actually got in touch with the World War II Museum in New Orleans, and they actually want all the letters and stuff that we sent out to her. So that's like really like we found like museum quality stuff. It's going to go live in the archives now, and I think that's very, very cool.
You found history. Wow.
We did.
I honestly, I'm sitting here right now, and I've been quite public about, we're not starving, but I'm trying to fend off having to go back to engineering. So if we run out of money, I'm not going, the kids are not going to die. I just will have to go back to engineering and not be able to do a lot of this stuff. If I had found those 50,000 transferable bonds, I can't hand on heart say that I wouldn't have nicked at least half of them. I just don't think I can. I'd love to be able to say I could. Because
One of the the happiest. I will have to go in a minute because I have to pick up the boss baby. But one of the happiest days. It wasn't something happy that happened to me, but I was just so happy for him. It was that I was a barmaid in a pub, a really rough pub in East London, and these guys they worked in the recycle centre in the dump. And they came in and they were like, drinks on everybody. And they found like an old Hoover and they had to like open it. And there was like $3,000 in cash in this Hoover.
Oh, nice. So that was a good day for them.
I was just so happy for them because I knew they didn't have much and they come in and drunk it all anyway. But it was a nice, happy Friday.
Maybe that's why they didn't have much. No, I'm only
100%.
kidding. I'm only kidding. I'm pretty sure I would have ended up doing the same as you, Matt. I just think it might have taken me a little bit longer to get to that conclusion, perhaps.
Yeah, if it had been straight cash, it would have been like,
Oh, this is more difficult. It's more difficult.
But yeah, we would have had to definitely lie to officials in order to make that happen. So that makes it a bit of an easier choice.
Well, Michelle's got to go and pick up Little Boss Baby. We've been running for 47 minutes. The idea was always only to be 40 minutes anyway, Matt. So this is a good time to ship on out of here.
All right, then. Until next week, at least.
I'll press the button. Follow Michelle Davey on everything. at Cockney Girl blog, at Cockney Blog Girl. At
The Cockney blog girl, yeah.
Yeah, so basically search for Cockney in the Countryside and you'll find Michelle on Instagram, on Twitter, on her blog, and her podcast is Let's Talk About Autism as well. That's a very
Let's talk
good.
autism.
Mine's better. Let's Talk Autism. Matt is at MattPT55 on Twitter. Go and check out my Instagram by searching for Spanners Ready and follow this show at Indoors Remain.
You're getting good at Instagram as well.
Because you're teaching me. Michelle is the one who teaches me how to do all the stories and the things like that. So thank you very much for that. This has been the Remain Indoors podcast. I'm your host, Richard Spanners Ready. Stay safe, guys. Have good prep for Christmas and remain indoors. Yeah, we're out of it. That'll do. Oh, I need to mute before I start saying, oh, we've got to get out of here. Oh, my God, that chat room, they were so ugly. Did you see that comment from that one guy? It had a typo. Oh, no, they're still listening. Oh, my God.